For those that are new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications to be notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto this channel. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Now let's begin. What is going on, comic book fans? Welcome to another superhero discussion video where today we're going to be talking about the concept of the Green Lantern film and introducing a legitimately good Green Lantern film going into the DC universe, as we have Batman, we have Superman, we have the upcoming Aquaman movie, and of course Cyborg. And the one film in the franchise that's been having lots of controversy surround it was Green Lantern. Now, joining me here today are four very knowledgeable and very credible Green Lantern fans who have their own means of introducing and creating their own variations of how to produce a good Green Lantern film. So what I wanted to start off with here is Danny. Danny, I wanted to talk to you about Green Lantern and getting your thoughts as to how they can introduce a legitimately good Green Lantern film. In your opinion, what do you feel like needs to be altered or changed if they were to introduce, you know, a fresh movie? Do you believe that, you know, the main characters should be African American as they, you know, originally changed the complexity of how the character looks, or maybe he should remain white? Do you believe that they should introduce Sinestro Corps? What I wanted to get from you is your overall thoughts as to how they should introduce a good Green Lantern film, as opposed to them just quickly rushing the film out just to catch up with Marvel and producing nothing but garbage. So in your opinion, what do you feel like would create and ultimately make a good Green Lantern film if you were the one behind the script?
Well, thank you for having me here, Alex. First off, I want to say it really depends on how long you want these movies to span, because there's some events in the Green Lantern mythos that can span up to probably even 4 movies. A Sinestro Corps War is an extremely long thing, and they're not going to be able to handle everything in one movie. Then you have Blackest Night and Brightest Day that can't be done in one movie. You have just so much stuff, and it just can't be handled in any singular movie. So if they were going to do anything that with any of the big events, I feel like it'd have to be like with Marvel and the way they're doing things. Although, in my honest opinion, I feel like if they were to, DC needs to stick to what they're good with. They need to stick to their animated movies. And I know that may be a point in contention among some people, but their animated movies are where they shine. You have Flashpoint Paradox, amazing movie, arguably better than anything Marvel has done.
Right.
You have what is it? Dark Knight Returns. That where he in the second part of it, he fights Superman. That was amazing. So if they were going to do anything with a Green Lantern, they'd have to, for one, to make it an animated movie, in my opinion. And second, on who they should focus on. Personally, my favorite Green Lantern is Guy Gardner, and I feel like he's the one to connect with most easily. You do have Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, and John Stewart. Now, they're all good themselves, but I feel like they're a bit harder to connect with. Guy Gardner was a kid person. He grew up on the streets. His father was an abusive person and all this, and I feel like the audience could connect with him better than with the others. And he's also a goofy type of person, so I feel like he'd be more endearing to an audience. And overall, he's just a good character. And a lot of the stuff he's been involved in if not all the major conflicts within the Green Lantern mythos, be it from, I think it was the War of the Green Lanterns, I believe, where the Guardians turned bad or evil, and they ended up having to go against them. And actually, or that was that Sinestro Corps. Well, there was an event where Parallax got put back into the central power battery, and more or less you had Guy Gardner as well as the other 3 main Green Lanterns of Earth going in and fighting these people, and they had to break open the central power battery. Well, Guy Gardner is wearing the red and star sapphire power rings, and you just have this amazing scene where Guy is there, and he's just like, he's trying to figure out how to correctly utilize these rings and destroy the central power battery. And he's just like, what do I love? What do I hate? And it finally comes to him. He loves being part of the Green Lantern Corps, and he hates being angry. and then he just does what Ganthet, who's one of the Guardians of the Universe, says would take 4 lanterns to do. He busts open the central power battery, more or less destroying it and freeing Parallax from it. And that was just an amazing thing to see in the comics. So I feel like Guy Gardner would be a perfect person to showcase in a new movie. Now, if you want to go with what other people say it should be, which is of course Hal Jordan, I'd say the best place to start would be a movie about the secret origin of Hal Jordan, where it details him getting his Green Lantern ring from Abin Sur, and then it details him sort of going around fooling with his ring a bit, learning how it works, and then him going and training under Sinestro. So what I want to happen, a movie featuring Guy Gardner. What's probably gonna happen is a movie featuring Hal Jordan, which is probably the best for business, but those are my thoughts.
I definitely feel like introducing Sinestro Corps would be phenomenal, because I gravitated towards that more than anything else. I wanted to go to my boy Scale. Scale, I wanted to ask you the same question in getting your thoughts as to how you feel about, you know, what you would do to create a legitimately good Green Lantern film, because it's arguable in the DC community that Wonder Woman was the best DC film that came out between, you know, the Batman films and of course Superman, Man of Steel. That includes of course even Justice League and Batman v Superman. So in your opinion, how would you dictate the direction of, you know, how you would create a Green Lantern film, and what would be your overall vision as to creating a film that makes sense and a film that would really draw people into the box office?
Well, Alex, first of all, I thank you for the invite. I'm very thankful to be here. Well, first of all, we got to decide which Green Lantern we're gonna talk about, because there are several Green Lanterns. You got the Golden Age Green Lantern, which is Alan Scott. You got the Silver Age one, which is Hal Jordan. The Bronze Age ones, which are Guy Gardner and John Stewart. You got the modern ones like Kyle Rayner, Simon Bass, Jessica Cruz, and you even have some who headlined as them, like Jade, Sinestro, and Jiria Call. So it's like, first of all, you gotta pick one of these. Once you pick one of these, honestly, you have to focus on their life history. I agree with Danny in introducing the Sinestro Corps, and I honestly think that it should also include the Green Lantern Corps, because it is pretty much what, and explore the origins of the Green Lantern. Because if you remember, the first Green Lantern, he just forged a ring out of a meteor that just fell to Earth from.
Scale, if I may interlude for a quick second, Alan Scott himself was not a Green Lantern. He was in name, but not his ring was forged from something called the Star Heart, which was a bunch of magical energy coalesced by the Guardians of the Universe into a singular thing. So the Star Heart is what gives him his power, unlike the Green Lanterns, which draw their power from the central power battery. So you can go with Alan Scott, but he himself is not a legitimate Green Lantern.
No, I know, Danny. What I meant is, I know that fact, but I'm like, if you want to do a Green Lantern film, you have to begin it, or at some point you have to explore the origins of the Green Lantern powers. And it's like, I know that Alan Scott was not a legitimate member of the Green Lantern, but he was the first that actually introduced the concept of the origin of their power. And I'm like, I agree. I think that Hal Jordan is the best one for the job, but I do think that I would pick either Guy Gardner or John Stewart, because it seems to me like they have the most compelling stories. And not making the case for a clusterfuck, but I do think that there should be a set limit to the Lantern's power, because it's like, as long as you have the Lantern, you can do almost anything, except for healing injuries automatically. You're capable of shielding. That's why you don't really need protection against injuries, since the shield can withstand pretty much anything out of the ordinary. But honestly, explore the lifelines of one or two members of the Green Lanterns. Maybe explore the story and the conditions as to how their legacy was passed and how the generations progressed, and just have the best villains and the best of the Green Lantern, of what symbolizes the Green Lantern, as being the final focal point of the movie, like the climax.
It's very interesting how the both of you have a different philosophy as to what you guys would do with your takes on the Green Lantern film, and I feel as if this film, because they're bound to make one, has so much potential, but it just rides on the story and the overall direction in which they go in. I love how, you know, Scale explained how you need to introduce the history of certain characters before you jump the gun. Spiral, what I wanted to get, you know, and ask you was, what are your initial thoughts as to how you would personally create a Green Lantern film, as to what you would introduce, what kind of story would you, you know, play off of, and for you as a fan, like, what kind of story would you want to see leading up to the upcoming film, and just for you to, you know, envision and create your own take as to how you would introduce Green Lantern, what would that be and what would you change?
Well, if I had to look at the Green Lanterns, I would like I would one thing I would say, like, I would go with Daniel's idea. You had to animate it, because I want to bring up this like Civil War, for example, the Marvel movie. If you compare that to the comics, Civil War had a human limitation. In the comics, they had way more heroes fighting each other compared to what's going on in the movie. If you had to animate it, you wouldn't have to deal with those human limitations. Because if you look at the Green Lantern Corps, there's so much like beautiful effect you can do with it. Since I was like a child, I always like the first Green Lantern I always known was like John Stewart. And when I had like done my research later on, and I haven't done since like I just like my memory's fuzzy, but I found about Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner's my favorite since he became my favorite after I stumbled upon that there was more than one Lantern Corps. There's the Green Lantern, the Blue Lanterns, the Sinestro Lanterns, the Orange Lanterns, all the rest of them.
Right.
And Kyle Rayner, when I found out that Kyle Rayner was the one that like mastered all those like emotions, I was inspired by that, because it's like very unique how the Lantern Corps were created. Like, they became like the emotional spectrum of the whole universe. And even tying that to the White Lanterns, who are connected to the life entity, like, which like if Dan, you can refresh my memory, it was like, I think it was it Blackest Night or Brightest Day?
It was at the end of Brightest Day, which was right after Blackest Night. That's when the heroes of Earth more or less got some of them got purged of the Black Lantern rings. They got a White Lantern rings, came back to life, and then directly after that is when I believe Kyle Rayner went on like a little mission with a bunch of other members, and then he ended up mastering all of the emotions and the emotional spectrum, and then coming up because after Blackest Night, the White Lantern White Lantern battery, it crashed down in some part of Earth. I can't exactly remember where, but it crashed down, and then so Kyle Rayner, after that, he went on a journey with some other lanterns, mastered it, and then became the White Lantern. Yeah,
like, and didn't he like later on, like, was it him or somebody else that had all the like emotional entities inside him? Like,
that was one of the Guardians that was cast out. His name was Krona. He got cast out, I believe, because he tried to go back and see the creation of the universe, I believe. I could be mistaken, but I believe that's why he was cast out of the Guardians.
Yeah, and then like Scale said, you had to look at their background and history. So, and plus, like Dana said, like, you look at like how long you want to make the movie, because, like I said, the Lantern Corps are very unique in their own way. But since this like tied to Green Lantern, if you want to like make the movie like more like exciting, you probably like introduce like something else, like Hal Jordan wielding like in the movie, like not in the movie, like in the comics. Guy Gardner wielded the Star Sapphire and the Green Lantern ring at the same time. He wielded the Green Lantern ring and the Red Lantern ring at the same time. Like, it's like very exciting to see them using more than one emotion, like, all at once.
It wasn't even just him. John Stewart, he was wielding, I believe, the Indigo ring as well in the Indigo ring makes it so you can channel all the emotional spectrums. So it's pretty much wearing every ring at once. It's comparable to the White Lantern ring, in my opinion. And then you have Hal Jordan was wearing the Ring of Average, which is the Orange Lantern, and the Yellow Lantern ring, which is the Sinestro core. And then you had Kyle Rayner wearing the Blue Lantern Ring of Hope.
It's very interesting because this can go in so many directions, and I personally want to see Hal Jordan because I grew up on that, and I feel like looking at it from that perspective, I would love to see Sinestro be involved. I would love to see Sinestro involved in the Green Lantern film, just because I feel like with Sinestro, he's so synonymous with Green Lantern, especially with his origin background.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that ought to be the first villain in a way, which builds up to something else. But I also want to go into and ask Luck. Now, Luck Pup, I wanted to ask you as to your take as to how you would create and introduce a legitimately good Green Lantern film. If you would change some stuff around, if you would introduce like a certain story that many other people might, you know, see differently as. So if you can unmute your mic and let me know your thoughts as to what you would do. Just essentially, how would you as an individual create a legitimately good Green Lantern film?
Alright, to create a good Green Lantern film, Lantern, I would use Harold Jordan. As for the plot of the film, I would choose to go with focusing it mainly on how he acquired the Power Ring and joined the crime syndicate. I just feel that would be I think it's very interesting how all that happened, and I think it would be good for the fans that have read that part of the comic to see it again on the movie screen, and it wouldn't be something that would alienate new fans or people that don't know much about Green Lantern. I would definitely make it an animated movie because human limitations, there's just so much more that they can do with animation, and I just feel that animation has more interesting graphics that would draw people in. It would be kind of unique since Marvel isn't really making a lot of animated movies.
Right.
So, as for that, just stick to a simple plot about how he obtained the Power Ring and joined the Syndicate. And of course, they'd have to have Deathstorm there.
Would you I want to ask you, would you like include like Carol Ferris, as in like just a normal human, or would you introduce as like a Star Sapphire?
I would introduce him as a normal human.
To sort of build on, if anybody here does not know what the Luck Pup is talking about with the crime syndicate, more or less, I think it's on, I can't remember exactly what Earth, but it's another Earth in the DC universe where you sort of have this, instead of having the Justice League, you have the crime syndicate and roles are reversed. So like, you have Ultraman, which is the alternate universe counterpart of Superman. You have, it's pretty much just the evil versions of the Justice League. So like she was saying, Harold Jordan, he is using the Ring of Volthoom, which was when Volthoom got, his planet got destroyed and whatnot, and he was looking for a way to like bring it back and save it. He was more or less going through all these different Earths and whatnot, and using his travel lantern, and he created a ring. Now this ring is different from a normal Green Lantern power ring, as it's sort of like a Sinestro ring, but it'll feed off and eventually kill the wearer. And then that ring, after Harold Jordan got killed, it went to what scale? Are you here? What's her name? I can't remember her name. Is it Jessica? One of the new Green Lanterns.
I think it is. I think it is.
Yeah, Jessica. It went to her, and then she became a legitimate Green Lantern. So that's what Luck Pup is talking about.
I feel like
no,
go ahead, because I was gonna say with an animated film, that's already obvious. I mean, can't we all agree that DC makes better animated movies than Marvel? I mean, that's already a given. So, I just personally feel like they need to stray away from the animated stuff because they need to compete with live action films. I just personally would love to see, Hal Hale Jordan with Sinestro be introduced alongside the Sinestro corpse, because I feel like that would tell more of an intricate story than anything else. But then again, it's like you have so many different subplots for Green Lantern. It's like, which would you actually choose from? So we're gonna come back for a part 2 on this video and discussing more or less as to where we see Green Lantern's direction in the future. Let us know your thoughts down below if you guys agreed or disagreed with some of the people on this discussion, Danny, Luck Pup, Scale, and Spiral, as to if you guys agree with some of their story concepts or disagree with that. Let us know down below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys are new, hit that subscribe button, leave your thoughts down below. Also follow us on Discord. We're always in there talking comics and anime and all kinds of different things, so make sure you guys jump on in and join us. Thank you all so much for joining me, and we'll be seeing you all in the next video. Take it easy, guys.